Welcome back to the Nassman Hockey Podcast. A tough week in Islanders country, and to trudge through the misery, I'm joined once again by Brett Nicholas. There's a lot to get to, but I want to check in on your optimism that you left us with last week. Difficult week. Where are you at as we, following the Rangers loss here?
Yeah, it was a tough week. I'm going to always try to have some optimism because it's the only way for me to enjoy this season. I will be negative at times, and I will know when to throw in the towel and that this team's not making the playoffs. That's not where I'm at yet. I think 5-on-5, this team has looked very good at times. We all know the special teams are terrible. They make us feel bad. And hopefully those will get sorted out. I don't have too much optimism for that. But if the puck starts going in the net 5-on-5, we'll start singing a different tune. We have injuries to go through and stuff like that. 4 games this week. Only one of them had a good result, 3 bad results. So that doesn't make us feel too good. But like I said, 5-on-5, we're looking all right. So let's hope they carry that on throughout the season.
Yeah, and I don't want to be. I think with James and I definitely carried the negative energy a little bit more than him. So this is a good balance with you and I too. I think, like I've said, and I hate to repeat myself, it just seems like it's the same thing over and over again. And it's not like, through 10 or 12 games, it feels like it's the same thing and they have to break this habit. It's been no matter what over the last 3. Now this is the 4th season. You're kind of just looking at the same problems, and it's really, really hard to find the positivity. Like, yes, they made the playoffs and there are plenty of excuses, but and we, like you said, we have things to kind of get through with injuries, and there are some good things. So I want to end the episode with some of those things, and then really with a couple of questions to see, like, where do we even go from here? But I want to. Earlier in the week, Patrick Wall had a quote about, I wish we could go to Walmart and buy some goals. And it made me think of, I feel like this is a Jeff Merrick kind of moment here, but it made me think of the Washington Capitals head coach, Jim Anderson, what he said about the Capitals inaugural season in 74-75. He said, "I'd rather find out my wife is cheating on me than keep losing like this. At least I could tell my wife to cut it out." And that's kind of what I feel like right now. That's where the negativity is kind of coming to its conclusion, is like, you just tell them to knock it off. Like, I don't know where to go from here.
Well, the good news is we're not that team.
No, but
that team is historically. No, I get it. They do need to knock it off. They need to stop these breakdowns. They need to stop. They need to start scoring, and they need to figure it out. Goes back. I don't want to rehash last week's episode. It just goes back to leadership is really what I think. And even more so, to go back to you feels like it's been the same thing every year. It feels like deja vu. It's the same problems all the time. And that all stems back to the lack of true star power. We went over it last week. Barzal's not a star. He's more of a great supporting piece. He's not the team star. We're missing that.
Yeah, and there's the potential for that.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's out of the question either, right? So it's, I think it's a leadership thing. I agree.
Yeah, and then now we're facing headwinds because our not a star player, Barzal, is out. So we have to piece it together in another way.
Yeah, and so we had, in addition to Duclair, who I believe was already injured by the
he was already injured
last week, or at least announced out of the lineup. Barzal, Adam Pelech, and now Mike Riley are also now injured, and Romanov, who I forgot to list in the notes here, is also day-to-day.
Yeah.
So it's.
So what do you want to talk about first? What injury do you want to talk about first here?
I think I hope Mike Riley's okay. I don't know if you saw that hit.
Yeah, I hate head injuries. I cannot watch them. I saw I was watching the game. I saw that whole game. I turned away from the team. Like once that he was down and I was like, this guy's not moving really, I'm not watching that replay. I watched it once. I saw where his head was going and I look away. I really cannot stand looking at head injuries. I know like how bad the outcome is of those. I'm so happy that he skated off on his, not on his own power. He was really wobbly. He was really helped off the ice, but then he walked down the tunnel. So I am happy that he looked, I mean, everyone is, this is outside of hockey fandom. Like everyone's happy the guy like came off the ice okay. He's only day to day, which you never know what that means. And I don't know. I don't actually know his concussion history. So
that's a good
point. They get worse the more you have, the longer you could be out. I've seen players have the worst head hits I've ever seen, and they're out for one game. And then you have players that get bumped wrong and they're out for 2 months. So he's day to day. We don't know what he's going to be like. Hopefully it's not a bad one for him. Like it's hard to say it won't be when the way he hit his head on the ice, but I don't know. He's day to day, and he's not much of a needle mover for me. He's better than our other options on D,
which is the story of the season, right?
Yeah.
Like here are the call ups, shrug. Like this is kind of just what we have to work with.
It's a lack of depth that Lou has given us because he likes to hand out 7-year contracts for $1 million extra for no reason, and then we're locked into a roster spot and lack of depth. Yeah.
It's some of that predates Lou, but he's been here long enough where some of that should have been rectified in some way.
Yeah, it should have been cleaned up.
Building up Bridgeport or whatever the deal is on Riley, and that's where like guys like Shalowski, Riley, I mean even Hutton and Bolduc at this point, like we'll get to them in a little bit, but like I'm just sick of this. We call them up and like I don't know what we expected today. Obviously injuries happen and half your D's depleted. It's understandable that it's like not going to be the same.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and what I did say, I probably shouldn't have said he's not a needle mover. That was wrong because we don't have anyone that can skate the puck from the back end besides Dobson, and Riley does know how to move the puck a little bit. So we will see that as an issue without him moving forward, I think.
Yeah, I think not a needle mover, but does have a specific skill set is fine. Like he does have value, but he's not Nick Leddy, right? Like I think that's a different, like he was the guy that could really carry the mail. And while I believe they wear the same number, he's number 2. He can skate. Like being the best at something out of a team that's not very good at it. I don't know yes, it is a nice redeeming quality for a player to be good at something, but because everyone else is so bad at it, it just makes him look better, I guess. He would have been a great 7th. Like I that's kind of how I see him. I'm not loving that he's in the lineup every single night. Chalowski too. Like he's a good 8. Have him in Bridgeport and playing. On the Riley hit, I like you. I kind of like as soon as I saw that hit coming, I kind of looked away. I was like, this is not going to be good.
Well,
and then he hit his head. I seen the replay, hit his head. I was like, ooh, okay. And then he was out. And I don't remember if you were still playing, but there's a couple times where we've seen players go down and like in person, like in a game that we were playing in. And like I said, it's very scary. So forget about adults, like anyone playing, but I kind of go back to those moments of seeing it live, and I have a very hard time with it as well. So I hope he's okay one way or another. Hopefully he's not out too long for his own health's sake, but also the Islanders' decor, which after today's loss, I don't know that he would have made an enormous difference, but maybe a little bit because Grant Hutton is not great, and he made a couple of errors. But so the Islanders good defenders. Any other note on Riley?
Nope, just hoping for a speedy recovery and they need him more than they don't right now because they do need to keep moving that puck. The power play is bad. He is on the second power play unit, I believe, from time to time. So we just need more puck movement and hope he comes back soon.
So I think the next one is staying on the D is Adam Pelech. Did you see this injury? I'm not sure why I'm surprised. Walk me through that. As you know, as best you can anyway.
Well, this is. I'll tell you. I'll walk you through it in a second. But like, this is going to be Islanders' luck is playing a role in this one, because it's something you see countless times in the season. Pelech is in front of the net. Someone shoots the puck. He doesn't see it coming. I think there's some bodies in his way. The bodies move out of the way. Puck hits him in the face. Happens to players all the time. It never looks pretty when it happens, but players frequently come back from that. They might go into the room for a period, get some dental work done. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. To me, that means it seems like it's a broken jaw. I don't know if I saw anyone say that specifically, but I don't know why else would you be out for that long without a broken jaw if that's where you got hit. So that I feel like is bad luck, because I feel like I see players get that all the time and they come back fine. Pelech is now out 4 to 6 weeks. That also makes me nervous about Pelech, because what is this, the 4th season in a row that he's not playing the full season because he's made of glass?
Yeah, and I think that's the repeated head injuries and other things.
It could be a concussion as well. But usually they don't give you a 4 to 6 week timeline for a concussion because you don't know, they're unpredictable.
Oh, yeah. I just think it's just like you get hit once or you get one knee injury. It's just weak. No matter how much you recover, surgery or whatever, it's just going to be different on the other side. So, yeah, he's been battling for a long time. Yeah,
and it just, like, he was a great shutdown defender. When he signed that deal, everyone was pretty excited. We got a great shutdown defender long term. The concerns were he could be like a Mark Edward Vlasic, who was great and then was not. He had a couple poor seasons after signing that contract, or not poor, where he just wasn't top tier one of the best shutdown in the league.
He wasn't the same. Pulak is the same thing. Neither of them are the same.
I think though this season he was kind of playing really well. He was doing well, and then now he has this injury. He's going to be out for a long time. It just makes me nervous that we have him for so long, locked up for so long when he's made of glass. I'm not going to 100% fault Lou on this contract because I was happy when he signed it. You need to lock up your best players for the long term, and he was our top pairing defenseman. So it's just like now this contract isn't looking great because we have a very injury-prone defenseman. That's supposed to eat up a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and then you're putting a lot of pressure, to kind of look at the defense as a whole. Mike Riley, third pair, that's fine, but you're Dobson, Romanov, and Pelech Pulak are 1A, 1B. Like, I don't know who I would call. Yeah. Like, they're very different roles, I think. So each in their own respect is probably the 1A. But now you're kind of mixing and matching. I think I saw Pulak and Mayfield together today, which kind of makes sense, but it looked weird. Like it looked like the end of a shift.
Pulak's on his offhand, so
yeah, so that also doesn't help. And they've been kind of fumble fucking the puck out of their own zone all season and making mistakes. So that's just not going to help. I didn't see anything glaring today. That it's just bound for a puck to just kind of hop over one of their backhands on the wall, and that's the end of it. And then, you're kind of Dobson's also not with the right partner. He's not with Romanov. The three of them are righties. That's not great. I think Grant Hutton is also a righty. So you're dealing with a lot of mixing and matching, guys that aren't good already, or that they've been around this team for so long and have not been able to crack the lineup, every single training camp where you have to bring in a Romanov, you're bringing in a Chalowski or a Riley, and now they're there, and you kind of shouldn't be surprised at the D at this point and them not being good, because you've seen these guys not be good and not be regular NHLers. So I don't think the expectations should be through the roof. They've just, as a decor to begin with, they were struggling, not to mention guys that have really no business playing in the NHL for all intents and purposes. Any overall thoughts on the way that the defense looks at this point? We really only saw it for a game or two.
Yeah, it's a ragtag bunch. I'm nervous about it because with a week our defense was not deep, but I felt our defense was fine coming into the season. I wasn't super concerned. Pelech Pellick Pulak, I think, are a fine second pair. Dobson, Romanov, I know you said 1A, 1B. I kind of put them in as our 1A, our 1. They're our 1. I think starting the season, I was comfortable with our defense, but we all know injury issues are always a concern. Getting 3 of them at once is a nightmare scenario for this team. So I don't feel, because I don't have faith in Bolduc. I think he looked real bad last season. I don't think he looked amazing today, from what I was able to see in the game. So I don't know where he's going to wind up in his Islander career, but it's not off to a promising start. Like you said, Hutton can't crack the lineup. So we have a third of our back end, which is like an 8th defenseman and AHL players at best right now, or not third, half of our back end, 3 out of 6. So it's just a very nerve-wracking defense, and we already watched the games with such anxiety, right? Because we never are in control, even if we have a 3-0 lead, and now it's just like an added anxiety because they're like, we've really got to keep that puck in the other team's end. And they kind of did that for a lot of the first period today against the Rangers, and they still lost. So.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, to with Duclair, who we spoke about last week, but then Matthew Barzal being out, that's not going to help. Although, I'll connect 2 parts of our notes here. He wasn't great anyway. So, like, I'm not saying I want him to be hurt and not be in the lineup. I want him to be able to adapt his game and be better for this team. But for what you saw, every time Barzal's out of the lineup, Horvat is an animal. And remember down the stretch last season, he played better, and now once again he's playing better. And the offense, the power play, even they're not producing, but they're playing free. Barzal kind of sucks the air out of the room a little bit.
Well, so here's where I'm mad at you, because I think the secret's out. I'm a hockey fan. I'm not a hockey expert. And watching the Sabres game, the first game without Barzal, I was like, watching the game, Islanders win. I'm like, bang, I got the point. I know what I want to say on the podcast about this. I'll talk about how with Barzal out, they play a simpler game. It frees everyone up to just go outside. Like, you're a weaker team without him. You want him in the lineup. But for brief stints, like an injury, if it's only 1 or 2 games, not this 4 to 6 weeks we're going to lose him for, they almost play stronger without him because they're forced to all simplify their games, and they know what they have. Like, they just know what they have to do. And then you tweeted that out in response to someone else without me talking to you. So you pretty much tweeted my thought out. I was like, damn it, John. I was going to talk about that.
That's good. That means we're on the same page. Yeah. We've done 3 of these already. So that's exactly the point, right? And Horvat plays the game. I obviously Horvat's, I think, just a bigger, more physical player. Mm-hmm. But what he really does is that north-south game, and Barzal has that speed. He doesn't have the size, but he doesn't need it. I think he's faster than Horvat.
Yeah, he is.
And he doesn't leverage that.
Yeah, no, because Barzal wants to play north-south, go back south, go back north, go back south. Like, he likes to turn around, curl it a little bit, lose the puck,
Yeah, it's like trying to avoid traffic on Long Island. You're on the LIE. I'm like, you know what? I'll try to take this. I'll go south. I'll take this road, the Northern State, for a second. You hit traffic there. You go back to the LIE. Then you're like, maybe I'll go north from here. Like, yeah, you could try all these different ways, and he's just kind of bobbing and weaving too much. Tavares did this, where he tries to do too much, and instead of, I think, simplifying the game is a great way to say that. But really, I kind of bring it back to, you have to adapt to what's going on. What does the team need you to be? If you're that good, you should be able to figure it out. And he's kind of always had this issue. And now being on, like, even the beginning of the season, it wasn't that many games with Duclair, Horvat, and Barzal together. But, they click sometimes, and it does look really good. And you could tell Barzal had a little bit of swagger with Duclair on his line, right? Just because it opened things up differently. Mm-hmm. Different hockey IQ out there, and he raised that for that line, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. And the second, both of them are out, but Horvat just jumps in and automatically plays better. That power play was moving the puck around, everyone's just trying to have the same goal of getting a shot on net and creating an opportunity instead of I have to get the puck to Matt. And that's very different. Those are different ways of playing. This isn't to use a Hey Arnold quote,
Pass the ball to Tucker,
pass the ball to Tucker, and that's the Islanders. Just pass the ball to Tucker. Barzal is that guy, and you just don't have any freedom. He's not Michael Jordan, where it's like money in the bank every time he has the puck. It's exciting, but it's kind of worn off a little bit, frankly, because you know what's going to happen, which is unfortunately nothing.
Yeah, if we get Barzal playing a simplified game when he comes back, that will do wonders for this team.
Yeah. So the group, they're we'll get to some of the good, but it hasn't helped any sorry. The good and the bad is it really doesn't matter who is in the lineup. Right? Like Barzal was not in the lineup. They were still getting shut out. They weren't playing well. They couldn't score goals. They couldn't finish. And after he's out, it's pretty much the same results. They're losing games 3-1, or today was 5-2. They finally were able to score goals the last 2 games, which was a miracle. And so, but that's happened for 3 years where it's really not mattered. I guess for good or for bad, for good or for ill, there's a call up. I mean, I don't understand it. This is where it's like the entire team has a lack of focus and the aimless leadership, where I guess it's good that anyone can step in there and it still looks like the Islanders, but it still looks like the Islanders. They still look like the same bad team. And then this week, another shutout. They're 4th in after today's game is, I believe, 12 games.
It's 4-12. 1 in every 3 games. They can't put the puck in the net.
Yeah, I was going to avoid the math on that because that makes me feel terrible. And that doesn't count the games where they're scoring 1 goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's not good, right? Like 0 or 1 goals it's got to be half the games. It's got to be at least 6 because there's 1 this week at least, right? They lose to the Ducks 3-1, and right, or is that the shutout game? I can't even remember.
The shutout game was the Blue Jackets.
Worse.
That was 2-0 to the Blue Jackets. They lost 3-1 to the Ducks. It might only be 5 games that let up 1 goal or scored 1 or 0. I can't think of another 1-goal game from them, but it could have happened.
Yeah. Either way, it feels like it's all the time because it's 1 out of every 3 or 1 out of every 4 games, or more than that. It's frustrating. What are you feeling on the offense right now? Because I think today, as an example, the 5-on-5 was good. They just can't find the back of the net, which seems like a really dumb analysis, right? They just can't score goals. What is it, right? Because it's not from Shesterkin to random guy on Columbus or Anaheim you've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter who the goalie is. It's not like the defense is so much better on one than the other. They're getting chances. They're a top shooting team in the league.
Yeah, I was gonna say this team's top 5. They're 3rd or 4th in the league in shots on goal per game. Which, I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. Some people believe you should always shoot the puck, right? Always get on net. Good things happen.
Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes approach.
Yes,
volume shooting.
The Hurricane, and it works out for them a lot of times because they also are a fast team that gets to the rebounds and gets those dirty goals. Other people believe why shoot the puck when it's just a no-nothing shot because you're just giving the puck up.
The Barry Trotz era Islanders.
Yeah, I'm more in the school of shoot the puck, get the puck on net, and then go get it. The Islanders seem to be doing that right now. The issue is it goes back to that lack of game breakers or more of a skill issue. They're shooting it directly at the goalie. It's great they're getting these shots, but if you're going to shoot it at the goalie, keep it on the ice because you're shooting it right into his chest and his gloves. It's killing the play. You need to get rebounds out of your shots. Shooting it, give me the puck and I'll shoot it directly at the goalie. Like shoot it into his pads, force a rebound, or put it like somewhere difficult to get. I don't know.
There's not a lot of traffic in front either. Sipilkov seems to be the only one.
We talked
really
about that
traffic.
last week. This team needs to get in front of the net in both zones. They need to be in front of the net. They need to be in front of the net in the offense so that they could clean up the garbage and screen the goalie, take his eyes off the puck, and they need to be in front of the net in their zone to stop people from harassing their goalies. Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, it's and we didn't talk about that last week about how the lack of kind of toughness in front of Varlamov after he had 3 shots, 3 hits against him by Tkachuk. So it's a little embarrassing by the Islanders, frankly. In a game where they wound up being fully embarrassed on the scoreboard as well. Not a good look, and it's starting. We're going to get off on a little bit of a tangent, I guess, but like they're not a fast team. They're not greasy. Like they're scoring some of these goals that are greasy just because they're not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're not defensively sound. I think we maybe even started the season with this question or maybe I meant to ask it. Or I can't remember. I feel like I've had this conversation with James at least a bunch of times. What is this team's identity? Like with or without Barzal, Duclair, whatever. So far this season, it's 12 games. It's not a lot, but it's like, what's the saying? It gets late quick.
Yeah,
it gets late
early. Yeah, they don't have an identity right now, and it's annoying because it's the identity that they wish they had, and they want to have the blue collar, we're the work hard team, right? That's why we've kept this greatest fourth line in hockey around so long, because that's who they were. They were outworking you. And that's what this team needs to do based on their skill level and who they have. They need to be the team that outworks you, gets the puck in deep, like all the hockey cliches, right? That's who they need to be. Like that lunch pail team. And they're not
IQ plays, simple game, north-south.
They're just not that work hard team right now because there's so many times where it just seems like they're taking shifts off. They take every shift off after they score a goal. Like,
it seems like mental lapses during the shifts.
Yeah.
Dobson today at the blue line, for instance, who's we're going to get to. I mean, that's some of the bad, right? He's been awful lately, just plain awful. And today was another example of him. Just I don't know what's going on. He's certainly not. His head is not in the game. And this is a guy I saw. It was at Through the Island, a fellow THPN show. He's like, this is a guy he's going into a deal. He's going to get a lower contract. Like he's playing himself out of his next deal, and that it should be the complete opposite. Barzal should be out, and he and Horvat should just be carrying his team, and Sorokin. And 2 out of the 3 are doing their job. Dobson is doing more harm than good at this point. A shorthanded goal against, just blindly throwing the puck across the blue line instead of the simple play, get it up the wall, just get it back in behind the Rangers net and set up again. And he just slings it across the blue line. And it's a team without an identity, or it's like the IQ isn't there, like the hockey smarts aren't there. So I'm very confused at where they go and how they even develop it, because they're not overly tough. Yeah, we listed the other ones, so it's just not. Yeah, it makes it hard to think about what happens moving forward.
There's a lack of identity, and that's back on Lou. Before we move forward, just because I feel like I missed it when we were talking about injuries, and I just want to say, tie in with the injuries and Romanov. I don't know if this is I don't know if this has pissed you off or not, but it's been driving me nuts. And I talked to my father-in-law is a huge Islander fan, and I talk to him about the Islanders basically every day, and it's really been driving him nuts too, is the lack of communication from this team. And when Romanov initially got hurt, they told us 1 game and he'll be back. Like, that's it. He's only missing 1 game. How many games did he miss? He missed 3. It's infuriating how much this team doesn't give any information at all to you. And you don't hear from anyone else. You don't hear from the owners. And Wah tries to give us information. I do like the way Wah speaks to the team, to fans. But I don't know how you feel about the way this team handles like injuries and not giving any information. Romanov out for he's gonna miss one game, misses 3, comes back in, it's clearly his shoulder. There's something wrong with it because that's where he got hit again against the Sabres, and now he's out again. But he was day to day. We were told yesterday he's expected to play today, and then he doesn't play today. It's just so annoying. This team cannot give fans any accurate information to help them root for it, for the team. And you don't hear from Lou, and you don't hear from the owners now that the team's underperforming. Like, where's Ledecky going around cheering with fans? You know, like, and I know he's not the major owner, but
yeah, but he's the person.
He's the face.
He's the face of it. It's interesting because you say that, and what I noticed was they're actually giving like at least upper body, however long.
Yeah,
and
that is true.
The bar was low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right. Like, so I can't believe that's an improvement. It's kind of been an NHL thing too. So
it
I
has
think
been
as a whole, I'm not thrilled about it. To me, there's way more things to be mad about.
There is.
It's like a compounding issue. It's like, oh, the cherry on top is someone gets hurt and I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how to like be a fan for them, and they're kind of like sucking the joy out of it to begin with. Forget about like I don't even know what the injury is.
Yeah, I guess the thing that bothered me the most is just like, don't tell me it's 1 game and then it's 3 games. Sometimes that happens. Like, that's why you say 4 to 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks, right? But just like constantly telling me, oh, he's only going to miss a game. He's pretty much fine. He just a little banged up, and then he misses 3. It's like, come on, you could do better than that.
Yeah, setback. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. It is annoying. There's different setbacks, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's really honestly day to day, and he could wake up and have slept on it wrong, and that's fine. Or then you get a little bang. He's in front of the net in practice, and he gets a little bump, and it's just the right thing. It's not serious, but like I have a thumb injury right now, and it's most of the time it's fine, but every once in a while, I had a knee injury like this too. Most of the time it's fine. I'll get down, I'll just like lean down and kind of squat a little bit, and it just tweaks the right way. And it's been fine for a while. Since I actually started to exercise, it got better, surprisingly. Oh, counterintuitively. You'd think that that's the opposite. But yeah, every once in a while you get it tweak, and it takes like 10 minutes, to get the tingling to go away. It depends on how the severity of it. And at first for me, it took so long for it to starting to feel better and feel confident with it. And if you're just not ready to go, like that, I don't know. I hate to like simplify it quite like that.
Yeah,
but.
I know. And I don't know our training staff at all. So I don't want to like get annoyed. But like, how come it seems like every other team, they always get players back early? Not always, but like every team has at least one player that comes back early from an injury. And ours always come back late, it feels like. Maybe I'm just like hyper focused on it because I'm an Islander fan, but we never come back early from injuries. What's up with that?
You said this earlier, and I don't think it was super unique, but I think in this moment it resonated with me. It was the Islander luck about Pellick's injury, right? Like that's kind of the anxiety, which is why that name that podcast has that name. There's a lot of anxiety with this franchise. There's a lot of just seemingly bad luck, but it's a lot of things like, I don't know, bad luck. I don't even know what would actually constitute bad luck. I think something out of your control. This team, I don't know that luck is even maybe there. It's on their luck. Like there's this kind of like self-induced bullshit that seems to follow them all the time. It's all self-created. It's never like my driver's ed teacher said there's no such thing as an accident. Someone made a bad decision and the cars collided. That you have to like actually break down what happened. So you can think it was an accident all you want. Oh, I hit a pole. It was an accident. Well, no, you didn't do it on purpose. So I guess that's like half right. But
yeah, no.
What do you mean you didn't see it? So like it's a lot of
Yeah, if we had
Islanders.
perfect hockey playing robots, they would never lose, but they're human, so there are mistakes that happen. Yeah.
Well, it's that. It's with Lou and decision making over the years, and again, compounding issues and not solving things. Although I think the one I appreciate that we're having a good conversation because it's just bringing things up. So we'll try to stay somewhat on track. But I was listening to Weird Islanders, so great episode this week with a guy from Skates at the Stake. I can't remember his name, but it was very good. And talking about they were talking about the Horvat deal because the episode was on Atu Ratu, and Lou has gone out and they needed a defenseman. They get Romanov. They needed a scorer. Palmieri was the top guy that year that they got him. They go out, they get Palmieri. They can't really do it in free agency, but they get Palmieri. They sign him. They get Horvat. They get Duclair. So like the goal scoring thing is, then you have Nelson. You still have Palmieri. Sipilkov has been a great story. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. Despite what my comments were last week, and so like in some ways he is solving it, and it's just like not coming together. I don't know when you pull the shoot, and then I'm not saying blow it up and rebuild, but there's a certain point when you just like, even Lou, you look at it and go, is it just not working? Like I pulled these guys together and they were the top players available, or the core was good and look what they did, and we just got to build around them. And at a certain point, the original title I had for this, as we were talking, was Breaking Point. And that's kind of like where I want to end the show either way. But I just don't know where we are. Like, I don't know, like, what else does he do? You can't just start making moves now, right? The guys are only out 4 to 6 weeks. You can't just bring in a $7 million player.
Teams aren't looking to make a move right now anyway. No one's going to be giving you anything that useful.
You can't get rid of Engvall. I mean, you're sending players down. You wouldn't have enough actual players available. So you're kind of just, now you're stuck. And I think that's what worries me ultimately, to wrap up the bad of all of this. Where do you even go? Is you are literally just going to roll out with the call-ups, and you're dealing with whatever's in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. To round out the bad, though, let me bring up one more thing, because I don't know where to go, and I don't have an answer for you, so I don't know how to respond to that, because I don't know where we're supposed to go.
I think you're just dealing like
I think the answer is stay the course, take it in stride. Because that's all we can do. Take these injuries in stride, keep your head above water as best you can, and our underlying metrics are good, and I'll talk about it more when we get to the good. So just kind of hope you can weather this storm. I was going to ask you, this is on the first podcast we did together, one of the things I mentioned was you were like, what are the things you want to say goodbye to? And one of those was that their inability, that they cannot score on an empty net. Were you able to watch the whole Islanders Sabres game?
I watched most of it. I was bartending. I did have it on a TV that I could see, but I don't think I watched. Okay. Did they score an empty net goal? I don't even remember. I thought it was 4-3.
No, it was 4-3. So it's 4-2 at this point. The Islanders.
Oh right, they score. Yeah, Sabres score late.
The Islanders have the puck. They're going down. They're a little bit tired. They're running out of gas from. Lee has the puck at the blue line, the Sabres blue line, well within scoring a goal. Like, he should score on this empty net, and he puts it off the side of the net. Not even really particularly close to going in. It's like very side of the net. And the Sabres come down, and like 30 seconds later, they put it in the net. And I was just like, this is the bad that I want to get rid of. And I thought they were going to lose that game in overtime.
That had it all over it.
Yeah. I was sweating bullets. And again, that goes back to, like, you can't enjoy a single game because, like, the leads they can't hold them. So that was the last bad thing I wanted to talk about, was that they can't shake this empty net issue. Score an empty net goal, please. I know they did score one this year already, but like, just please be consistent with it.
Again, just a super low bar of one goal, and we're like, oh, they did it finally. Like, it took like
Yeah.
all season last year.
It would have been a 5-2 game if he hit that. The last 3 minutes would have been fun, just like enjoying a win. Instead, it's like we have to bite our like nails and hope that we could squeak it out.
Yeah. I guess on that front, with Waugh pulling the goalie with 3-ish minutes left, under 4, they have just not been successful with that. I understand you need one, so it doesn't really like you need an advantage to score 1, so you may as well take that risk.
Yeah, it's the right move to make the risk, but this team can't play with an extra player because they don't know what to do. Like every other team, when they're playing the Islanders, they go, okay, they have an extra player. Let's just stack it up on the blue line. They cannot skate it through us, and like that's it. We're good.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting at 5-on-5. They seem to. Other teams are going into defensive posture at that point, so it's a little bit different to break the puck out of your zone with a little less pressure.
Yeah, there's always score effects, so it's
it's a little hard, but it's just not working for them. Like you're killing yourself every single game. They're pulling the goalie so early. I don't know. If they're sensing the other team's kind of pulling back a little bit, maybe that's a good move. I can't recall what's happening at the moment they pull their goalie, but it's on both sides of that. It's not good.
Yeah,
they're really struggling, whether they're the one pulling the goalie or it's getting pulled. The other team's pulling it as well. So it's a little bit of a disaster.
They need to fix it. It just drives me nuts. I can't. I want to enjoy the end of a game. When they're winning, I want to just comfortably win a game for once.
The NHL season is off to an incredible start, and this week is packed with action you won't want to miss. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has everything you need to get in on the excitement. Whether you're new to sports betting or a seasoned pro, DraftKings makes it super easy to place bets. Looking ahead, we've got some great matchups to check out. The Boston Bruins are set to play the Chicago Blackhawks this week, with Boston currently favored on the money line at -180, while the Blackhawks come in as underdogs at +160. For those interested in over-under betting, some of these games, like the Bruins and Blackhawks, have totals around 5.5 goals. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers can bet just $5 and instantly receive $200 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to unlock $200 in bonus bets when you place a $5 wager. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
There's nothing quite like the energy of a live hockey game. Try to catch as many games as I can each season, and this year, Game Time's got me set to see my favorite teams live. If you haven't tried it, Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, is perfect for finding the best seats at the best prices. They cut out all the fluff, so you only see the deals that are actually worth it. I've been checking out seats for the next game, and let me tell you, the super deals are unreal. Plus, you can see your view before you buy. No surprises. With Game Time's all-in pricing, you get the total cost upfront, no hidden fees. And with their lowest price guarantee, if you find a better price, Game Time credits you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code THPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time.
I love a good Black Friday deal, but with Raycon, you can get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any sales on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering my viewers up to 30% site-wide. A Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal you appreciate every day? Raycon's Everyday Earbuds, especially if you haven't checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for me on long flights. I travel for work, and I'm on a train, and I'm on a plane, and these earbuds are phenomenal for cutting out the noise while I'm working, if I'm on video calls, or just wanting to listen to music and tune out while I'm listening to my favorite podcast. This feature is not always easy to find, especially at this accessible price point until now. Because that's another thing. Although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys. So they're already an incredible deal, even before you factor in their Black Friday offer of up to 30% off site-wide. I wear earbuds a lot, playing the drums while I'm traveling, while I'm cooking, walking the dog, and a lot of other styles get really hard to wear for long periods of time, but not Raycons. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds are also available in a variety of vibrant colors, so you don't have to just have the standard issue white or black earbuds sticking out of your ears. I love the black ones, but some of the other colors are super cool. Now there's a perfect time to scoop them up if you haven't already, and don't worry, if you're not as impressed as I am, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really can't lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN.
All right, so the good. I think that one's the first thing is very easy, and this is something that I think has been very consistent throughout the first 12 games of the season. The Nelson line with Sipokov and Palmieri. This has to be the thing I think most fans are pointing to. Is that what when you're watching games, you like makes you feel a little bit better when they're on the ice?
Yeah, I mean Nelson. I don't know how he's scoring a decent enough clip. He's on pace for 30 goals, so that you have to be happy with that. Sipokov is really starting to get used to this North American game. I think he's really come into his own. I'm really happy with him. And Palmieri also scoring on a 30 goal pace right now. So he's also looking pretty good. So yeah, definitely very. I'm happy with this line. It's our most consistent line, which we really need consistency. I think it's a theme a lot of times. So generally, I think you just got to be happy with the way they're playing.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I'll walk back my comments. I'll fall on my sword from last week on Sipokov. It looked like the shine kind of wore off. Perhaps, Barzal goes out of the lineup and he sees an opportunity. It could be that the opportunity was there a little bit more ice time, a little bit more of a focus on him. He likes that pressure. And he could, as you said, just be getting used to the game. That goal against the Sabres was great. He had a great assist in that game too.
On the goal, he showed a goal scorer's touch, right? Like he waited, he went across, saw the 5-hole open up, put it right in. That's exactly what we need our players to do more often instead of shooting into the goalie's chest like we were talking about earlier. Have that patience. We still need to get the shot off, but have that patience to get the right shot off. And that pass, again, like you just mentioned, great pass. And that was part of the Islanders playing a simple game, which we talked about. He didn't have to look where Palmieri was. He knew where he was supposed to be because you're playing a simple game, and you started moving a little bit. Palmieri's supposed to be on that side of the ice right there. He throws it blindly. It hits him. Goal. Great shot by Palmieri too. Not let it be overshadowed by that great pass. The shot was great too. They're our best players right now. They're playing They're playing consistently well together.
And that's
Yeah.
Siplikov is the opposite of the Islanders' luck, right? And we talked about that before the season started, where you finally, I had this conversation with Mitch as well, that, you know, it's about time the Islanders just had one of these guys come in. They just some dude from Russia or some random signing or whatever the deal is, and they come out and they're not a star. I don't want to put them there yet, but was just good and a difference maker. And I don't remember the last time it was just guy that no one heard of until, you know, wow, they're really good in the KHL and they want to come to the NHL and everyone wanted to do this. So that was like Radulov. I'm not putting him on that level yet, right? But you know, that guy comes in and he's just good. And wherever he was in Dallas or Nashville or wherever he started.
He was in Dallas, he was in Montreal,
you know, the Islanders finally have this guy, and of course it's at a time when he's the only, like, on a line that's the only bright spot, and not like, oh, you know what, it's really great that line is doing really well with 230 goal scorers. He's racking up assists. The first line is banging on all cylinders, and the rest of the team is just kind of playing their role. It's okay. This is somehow this is a bad thing, but like but it is really, you know, like I said, I'm walking back what I said. Hopefully he can be consistent with it. I was really impressed with him this week. Even in the games where they didn't score a ton of goals, he's looking more comfortable.
He's always in the mix. He's looking great. He's
involved. He's not a passenger. It's a word, you know, we use it around in the Islanders. You know, the coaches have used that, and you know, I think it was a Capuano thing. He's getting involved. He's trying to be silky with it. You know, he's gaining a little bit of confidence, getting used to the game. I thought he looked great this week.
Yeah, totally. I'm super happy with the way Siplikov is panning out, and maybe that's going to be the Islanders' identity. They're going to be the Red Army East, Red Army West, because we got Sorokin, Siplikov, Romanov, and I was reading an article I can't even remember the guy's name, but there's another Russian guy who's pretty good that the Islanders are one of like 7 teams talking to him right now. I'll have to look up his name and give it to you later, but yeah, maybe that could be their identity. They're just going to get all these Russian speakers over and they'll be Red Army West.
Yeah, and so there's Varlamov too.
Yeah, and Varley.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, you know, to stay on the good thing, and while it's on my mind, you know, Varlamov has looked good. It's not a lot of these are tight games, and the Islanders are kind of leaving them out to dry with grade A chances. I think more importantly, though, Sorokin is back.
Sorokin looks great. He's one of the best goalies in the league. It's what he's paid, what he signed his contract for, which we need. And this is why we're not going to rebuild, because you don't rebuild when you have one of the best goalies in the league. You can't, because he's going to drag you to wins. If you score 3 goals in a game, he's good enough where you're most likely going to win that game.
Yeah, look at 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what
the first Lambert season. It was almost no reason for the Islanders to be involved.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
Yeah, so he's going to be that guy for us. It seems like for the next 8 years, which is why we're going to have to figure out something. And if this year is a mulligan year, I don't want to say this. Like I told you, I'm not throwing in the hat on the playoffs yet. Like, I'm still hoping this team, due to their underlying metrics, can make the playoffs. And Sorokin is the reason why I'm the most optimistic, because he's back. He's great. We just need to get a couple more goals in the net. And if it does turn out to be a year where we're tossing in the towel because we just can't get the luck we need or whatever, I think we do have the ability to retool and still stay competitive with him.
Yeah, it could be. It could be more of a retool. It really depends on how this season shakes out, who comes back and who doesn't. Maybe some, you know, if the Islanders are really out, and that's how you can kind of move some of these contracts. Unfortunately, like Engvall's not going anywhere because he has too many years left. You know, even just Lee and Pajot moving on. This is a little bit too early for this conversation, but hopefully, and hopefully they don't need to do this, right? And they want to keep those guys in a race or something. But those are really it. I kind of like bringing Palmieri and Nelson back. Wouldn't be a bad idea. On shorter deals and maybe a little bit more team friendly, but for what they contribute, frankly, they've been very consistent. So I guess that's fine. So there's not a lot of players you can really kind of move around from. So you got to figure something out. You really, the defense needs improving. Mayfield's also around for a long time. Dobson's about to be. I don't see him not getting a deal. So I think Romanov's also due soon-ish. I'm not entirely sure what his deal is.
He is an RFA after this season, so he is due next season as well.
So yeah, it's going to be a little hard because people are going to get raises. Cap's going to go up a little bit, but there's not enough. Peugeot and Lee is 13 million and change, or 14 million at total. That's like you're replacing it with two players. So there's two great players that you have to bring in to really make a huge difference here, unless you start actually trading some folks, because Duclair's got a deal. Everyone else is pretty locked in. The fourth line, anyone playing with Zizekas, it seems like it's going to be a little bit of a black hole for a minute. So complicated, but the highlight here is Sorokin looks good. He made a couple of 10 bell saves today.
Yeah.
The first of which was shorthanded after they
already let up a shorthanded goal. Yeah.
God, that was. I hate that again. Everything good is followed by or surrounded by a bunch of things that were terrible. But he looked really good. He looks like he's stretching and able to lunge, and his back is more than holding up. I'm sure he doesn't feel super great every single game, and they want to make sure he has enough in the tank for down the stretch, because he's going to be the guy if they are in and around the race like they have been the last 2 years, and because they're not making it easy on themselves early, they're going to need a Sorokin to kind of step in there and kind of take control, and he's doing his friggin' best so far. It's only going to get them so far over the line, but he's doing what he can. We talked about how Horvat really shined without Barzal already, and kind of the rest of the team, so I don't want to rehash all of that. But I think our ending discussion here, because I think you probably have a lot to say, and obviously you can always bring up some more things after that, but they're consistently out-shooting their opponents. We said earlier they're fourth or something in the league in shots for per game. It leads you to believe that eventually they'll get the bounces. The math just says that. You're more of an analytics guy. Is this becoming too much of a regular occurrence to brush off as a numbers thing? In other words, can we just say like, oh, well, the numbers say it'll get better, so it has to. To me, I don't know that I believe that, but you understand this a little better than me.
I think we alluded it to a little bit before, where I was saying this team is getting good shot volume, but they're shooting into the goalie's chest, and that's bad. You're not going to score. You can't shoot it through the goalie, no matter how. Even if it's Pulak shooting his hardest, he can't shoot it through the goalie. So they do need to shoot with more skill, but last season, this team, a relatively unchanged offense. We had Siplikov, we had Duclair, but Duclair's out now. So we're down to just really Siplikov as the change, and, some fourth liners, But overall, it's the same offense. Last year, that team shot 10%. 1 of every 10 shots in the net. Right now, they're only shooting 7%. We know this team can shoot better than that 7%. We've seen it done over seasons time. So we have data telling us this team can shoot better than they're shooting right now. They are another year older, of course, but still.
The pace like Palmieri and Nelson, exactly. Like they're
still on pace because they're doing. But so overall, this team, they should have more goals. I think their expected goal share at 5-on-5 hockey, which is where they've had good underlying numbers. We know their power play and their penalty kill is dog shit. We know it. But on 5-on-5, this team, their numbers are great. 55% goal share or whatever is expected goal share. That's what you want to see. That's what a playoff team does. So their offense, as bad as it looks, and when they make mistakes, the pucks end up in their net. But the underlying stats are telling us this team can win these games. And that's why if you look at Dom Luszczyszyn's model from The Athletic, he still has the Islanders. I didn't check. I haven't checked this week where they did go 1-3 this week. But last week, his model still had them pretty much over 50% playoff spot. They're like 63% chance of making the playoffs, which is pretty good for a bubble team, as we all expect. Then if you take the 4 games this week, Anaheim Ducks outshot them 2-1 that game. The money puck deserved to win-o-meter, which is based off expected goals. That they were expected to score like 4 goals that game. They didn't. Like, Lucas Dostal played a good game. They shot into his chest a little bit. They missed some opportunities, but they should have won that game. Columbus, that was a 50-50 game. We saw, and that they lost on a 50-50 weird bounce off a skate.
Yeah, that's an honor luck thing where just like
that sucks. But they couldn't put the puck in the net. So again, they got to get their shooting better. Sabres, they won, so that was nice. Woo! We're not even gonna look at the numbers. I don't care what the deserve to win to meter says that game because they won. The Rangers, the deserve to win meter on money puck actually has them as the team that should have won this game. I was only able to watch the first period because I had to do some family stuff, but they were playing well that first period. Even before they let up that goal, they had what was it? 4 minutes in the first 4 minutes of the game were pretty much in the Rangers zone. Their power play is such a momentum killer. It just kind of sucks the air out of the room.
Yeah, if you could decline the penalty somehow,
yes,
go definitely do that.
So I'm taking a long way around to say I think they're gonna start scoring more goals. Again, it's not even really analytics. It's just looking at percentages. Like 7% shooting percentage versus 10% last year. It's gonna go up.
I guess just I don't know that I like going off of they should, right? Like at a certain point, is it just? And I saw Dan Sarastini post this today. At a certain point, is it just who you are? Like you're not a scoring team. You're a team that struggles. Like at some point, is that your identity?
That is who we are right now. We're not a scoring team. But again, like I said, this is the same team that shot 10% last year. So why are they shooting 7% this year? I think anyone can say that they've added 2 offensive players that are better in Siplikov and Duclair. And again, Duclair's out, but they've made offensive improvements and their shooting percentage went down. So there is some poor puck luck right now, and that's we can call actual puck luck. Like they're not going in from. It's 12 games in the season, which is a good. That's about 10%. So, or no, it's more than 10%. It's like 15% of your season. So it is a lot of the season to chalk up to luck, and there will be a regression to the mean. They will start scoring more than what they are.
Fingers crossed, and I think that's what I'm led to believe by what the discourse is on this. I think I'd be interested, and I don't expect you to have this, but what the shooting percentage was after WA. Like did it because it was January. I don't know that it was a half the season. It was close, but he had a good deal of the season left.
I do not have that number, but
it'd be interesting to see. Because I don't think they're playing a lot different than they were under him as, maybe 10 or 15 games after he got to Long Island, it seemed like he kind of like had his system in place and that they were playing a certain way. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's not a lot different. I think that maybe the team, I don't know that they're more comfortable now. I was going to say maybe they're more comfortable, but like it might just be the goal scoring. And like if that was working, it's different. But some of these, they really should have been heading into today in so much better shape where it was more competitive. I think my feeling is I was a little resigned before the game even started today. It just didn't feel good. Too many injuries. They're not showing up. I don't know. I guess how I would expect them to. That they don't have. There's no swagger. There's no confidence. Mm-hmm. It could be just a case of the gripping their stick too tight kind of thing. But yeah, I want the numbers to kind of work itself out over time. But I'm afraid they're just like, oh, we're just not going to be good at this year. And yeah, the numbers should say this every single night. And over 10 games, any 10 game stretch that you look at, they held blah 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 amount of goal share and this. All that's great. If it's not happening, when are they expected to score, right? Like you can say that until you're blue in the face.
You could say that, but it's all about just a regression to the mean. Like just generally the way numbers work is you don't stay an outlier for that long, and right now they're an outlier. And there's underlying factors that are causing it, and maybe we'll see that those underlying factors are playing a bigger role. I don't know what they are at this point, because I really do think they should be scoring more goals. So I don't have one to point to, but I think at the end of the season, we're going to see that they do start scoring more. Their shooting percentage is going to go up. It's just natural for it to go up. They just are a better team than 7%. You can look at each of the individual players and their shooting percentages from last season. They're just a better team than 7%. So we will see those numbers tick up. Now it's how long are they going to be in this funk? And that's the question. Because if you're in the funk too long, it doesn't matter. We already said it once. It gets late early. So let's see if they can start scoring before it's too late. That's all it is.
Yeah, I like that kind of like tying that part up in a little bit of both. It gets late early. Can they take care of it before it gets even later? It's it's like crossing your every night, kind of just crossing your fingers with this, and can they because they score 4 goals, right? But yeah, they just need to find a way to do it consistently when they do, and can everyone show up at the same time? Can Engvall had a pretty good back half of the game today? Can he do that regularly? He looks absent and a ghost and useless out there most of the time. And then he shows up and he has that line had a pretty okay game. Wallstrom actually looked okay. A couple opportunities. He was a little more noticeable. He wasn't just like a periphery waiting for the puck somewhere, like he thinks he's Alex Ovechkin. So it's, if everyone can just show up at the same time, I think you're bound to eventually get over that 7% mark and regress to the mean. But they're not really showing signs of trying some different things, or I don't know. I guess just shooting better, finding a way to merge quantity and quality and putting it all together. I think some of that is probably the power play too, and just not being able to convert on those chances. I don't know what the amount of shots on average teams get on the power play as a total of their amount. If it's around 3%, and they're not scoring on that, then there you go. I mean, that could just be the difference there if they started scoring on those goals, or converting on those opportunities. Not only they're not even getting shots on the power play, so the expected part of it isn't even there because they're not going to do anything. They're not even dangerous at all. So that's not even in the equation at all at this point. The math it's zeros. So it's definitely, that's an area where that changes and the penalty kill gets better. This is a different season. They start converting a little bit, all those numbers go up. Maybe they get a little more, ability to score at 5-on-5 as well. They're controlling play though. They just really screw up sometimes, and every single time they make a mistake, it's in their net. I think I even tweeted this from our account today. They're limiting the Rangers to one and done. The problem is it was one and in the back of their net. It was like, one opportunity. So they're either getting it out of the zone after one shot, or the shot was in the back of the net. So it's just over time that's just not sustainable. It's a good idea, but you're just giving up such good opportunities. Like Panarin had 5 minutes to walk down the middle of the ice twice on the same shift. Like he collected the puck and did it again. What the hell is that? Like what are you doing, man? Everyone just decided, arguably the most dangerous player on their team. Just give him all the time he wants. Dude, you're professionals. I said this to James all last season. You're a professional hockey player. You're a professional team. Figure it out. That is what the money's for. It's not my job on a podcast to figure out what your problems are and solve them. You claim to have all this experience. You're a core. Great. Go do it. I have nothing good to say about you. It's been a long It's a lot of what have you done for me lately, and it has been a long time since it's that lately happened. That the 2021 run is a long freaking time ago at this point.
Yeah, it's history.
Yeah, I think about how long ago that is in just like my regular life and how, whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, like it's kind of amazing. Any closing thoughts? Any part of your notes that we didn't get to?
Not necessarily my notes, but here's my closing thought. I like to whenever the Islanders do something at all, I generally like to read the Twitter or Instagram comments. They make me laugh. And so today I want to close you out with some guy's quote. I'm just gonna steal a guy's quote because it made me laugh, and it kind of perfectly encapsulated the way I think you feel about this team, and especially last season. So this guy Chris 53 at Victim of NYI. So he said the way this team made Wah age is the same way how Lincoln aged from the Civil War. And I think that's a really good encapsulation of this team.
Yeah. They're definitely making us age like a president.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely love that. Yeah, I don't have any that's a pretty good way to wrap it up because I don't have any response to that. I definitely feel it though.
Yeah.
There are some seasons that
you look like a Civil War vet anyway with your beard.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's definitely every season. 82 games is a long season regardless, but last season was just slogging through it. Every minute of every game just felt like forever, and it was exhausting to watch. And part of why I feel so exhausting now, like why I'm so negative to start the season, is I've said this every episode so far this season. It's we're in year 4 of the same thing. Like we've seen it. It's just a different excuse or a different this or a different that. But it's the same result. They don't have the depth when someone gets injured. They don't have the depth when someone's not playing well enough. They don't have the ability to update a roster.
Yeah, they're a team stuck in the mud. They are where they are.
You said mushy middle last week, and it's the phrase that I use too. And they have one boot stuck in the mud, and they're trying to put it back on, and they're just like an 8-9 team forever. They're just right. They're bad on accident, which is so much worse than just being bad on purpose.
Yeah.
And they just kind of keep doing the same thing, or the results wind up the same. I guess no matter how much they feel like they're tweaking it, it really.
Well, they have 70 more games this season to make the results different. Fingers crossed that they do.
It's a lot of hockey.
So we'll see what they can do for us. Maybe next week we're talking about a perfect week.
Crazier things have happened. This is the time of year. I know. I think it's a little bit of a cliche that, by Thanksgiving, if you're in a playoff spot, you're in pretty good shape. But it's a lot of hockey after that, and a lot of different things can happen. Barzell will, and maybe even Duclair will be back right after that. So maybe that's good. Maybe they're in a slightly better position. They're playing 500 hockey, and they're just in the mix. Can the Capitals hold on? Their 8-2 record. Can they keep doing that? Remains to be seen. Pittsburgh is doing their thing. The Rangers look pretty good. The division isn't solidified by any means. The Devils have evened out. It's still kind of anyone's game here. It's a lot of games left.
Yeah, so. And last week, I said looking ahead to the schedule, I was like, hey, we're facing the Ducks, not very good. The Blue Jackets, a pretty poor team. The Sabres and the Rangers, and I was like, last week was like, this is the week to get it on track, and they went 1-3, so they kind of did not listen to me. Now this week we got the Penguins, dog shit. We got the Senators, middle of the road. They're 6-5, and we got the Devils, which like we said, they're evening out. So it's another week where it's not some powerhouse. You're not going against a powerhouse schedule here. So let's turn it around.
Yeah, it's an opportunity where if they have that win against the Sabres, they play a good game. They should have won on meter or whatever against the Rangers was in their favor, and then they win. Maybe they somehow sweep the week. You can look at a 5-game stretch at that point and go, okay, they're turning a corner here. There's something positive that they can do. They've figured something out on the power play and the penalty kill. It's even marginally better. I think it would be not only an improvement, but it could lead to actual wins. So I prefer to look at that instead of, a 5-game stretch or a 4-game stretch and going, yeah, they lost 3 out of 4 and they got shut out or had 1 goal, scored 4 in 2 of them. And they generally are just making mistake after mistake. Yeah, it's an opportunity to kind of create some momentum there. And at a really good time near the end of November and before Christmas is great to just kind of go and start winning some hockey games and go in before whatever All-Star break or 4 Nations nonsense.
4 Nations, yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that when it gets closer, but
yeah.
For now, yeah, I like the optimism. We'll try to use that to go into the next week and see where we go. Thanks for coming back. This is becoming a regular thing, so we're gonna keep going for the season. I've reached out to somebody else recently to see about their availability, or rather, I did that a few weeks ago and they got back to me. So they might be on soon. Another older friend of mine. In the meantime, please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to or watch the show. Follow us on Twitter and YouTube at Nesman Hockey. You can also subscribe to the blog on Patreon. I've not been good about that. I'll just keep repeating that line. I should just write it in the notes. I'll write when I have the time. And until next time, let's go Islanders.